Welcome to the Mormon to Medium podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey going from Mormon to medium. I'm Nanette and Brad. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening. This is the Mormon to Medium podcast. I'm Brad, and I'm here with Nanette.
Hello, everyone.
And boy, do we have something for you today.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
Oh, you should be, because I'm going to make you talk all about the crazy heartbeat of the world.
The heartbeat of the world.
Yeah, because this is something I've never even heard about before. And it's called the something resonance. What is it, Nan?
The Schumann Resonance.
The Schumann Resonance. I should remember that. I used to work with a great guy named Schumann. Well, that was his last name, not his first name. That would be a weird first name, right?
That would be, yeah.
Anyway, Shu was awesome. We love Shu. But so the Schumann Resonance. What is the Schumann Resonance, Nan?
I think, everything is made of energy, and we have our aura that's all around our whole body, and it encapsulates all of our energy fields, right? So the earth has the same thing. Surprise, it's like we're not alike or something. But the Schumann Resonance, what happens is when we have thunderstorms and stuff around the world, the lightning strikes hit within the ionosphere of the earth, and it bounces back and forth. And the Schumann resonance is the lower vibration that is stored in the earth's core. So it's literally Mother Earth's heartbeat. And what happens is if something good is happening, or like a collective consciousness here on this earth is risen, or whatever, the Schumann resonance can go higher. Usually it's a really low vibration. Even lower than like AM, FM radio vibrations. You wouldn't be able to hear it or feel it, but it's been tracked by NASA.
It's an energy wave, not a sound wave. So even if it was at a frequency you could hear, you still wouldn't be able
to hear it.
Right. Even if it was a sound wave, because it's not a sound wave, it's an energy wave, right?
Right. And you can't feel it either. But NASA's been tracking it since the 1960s. So it's pretty cool to realize that we have a lot more in common with Mother Earth than we thought. And the Schumann resonance actually spiked on election day, which is really, really cool. So what they say, the kind of the woohoo thing.
The woohoo thing. So more woohoo than the Mormon to Medium podcast.
Well, we're into woohoo here. But what they say is you can actually skip timelines.
I'd like to be into a woohoo.
Oh my goodness, 14. Oh my gosh. But if we're down a timeline where there's death and destruction and low vibration, if a Schumann resonance shoots up really high, it can actually affect humans and help us with sleep and mood and creativity. And it literally shifts our energy as well. And we can shift timelines to something more light-filled, more full of love and gratitude. And I think it's really, really cool. So we're in an abundant timeline now.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about timelines, right? So I'm thinking of the whole Marvel universe, and it's got all of these different timelines, and we just watched Deadpool 3, and that's kind of the whole premise of that, is all these different timelines. It's just mind-bending. It's confusing. I can't even think about it because it makes me go, oh my God, could it be? And then you think, well, I guess it could. Why not? But wow, that's a lot to think about. Like if there are multiple yous in other timelines, but then you shift a timeline, I'm confused.
I think you need to not overthink it. Think of it kind of this way. We all have agency. We all have choices, right? And we can choose one certain way on our path to go, or we can choose a different way. And sometimes the one way is way super rocky, and the other way is probably a little bit easier and more positive. But when we shift timelines as a collective consciousness here on this earth, it literally shines light into dark areas like we try to do here on the Mormon to Medium podcast, and brings the cockroaches out, right?
So wait, is what you're saying is that it's not necessarily we're shifting to a new timeline, we're just going to a new path. It's like
It's the
taking a
same
different
thing.
direction.
Same.
No, it's not. Because
Yes,
if it's
it is.
no, it isn't. Because a different timeline would be, like I said, we would be existing in a different timeline. We all would exist simultaneously in separate timelines as far as the geek world is concerned, right? If you're on a separate timeline, different things are happening to all the people who exist in that timeline. So if we shifted to that timeline, we would be coexisting with the us's in that timeline, right?
I have no idea.
So,
You are the one that's telling these stories that I don't know. You tell me.
well, I'm just trying to define timeline. So, and I think from what you're saying, it's not necessarily that we shift into another, like a Marvel universe, right? Like we were talking about. It's more of the path less traveled by, right? We're just choosing to go a different route. Is that?
No, it had to be a collective consciousness to change a timeline, to shift with the Schumann Resonance. You have to have the majority shift.
Right.
And that's what's happened. As far as you being in a different timeline, I don't believe that that's how it works. But you tell your
Right.
own
No,
stories.
I'm saying we're on the same page. We were in agreement with that. So what you're saying is we shift as a group collectively, boom, and it shifts to a more positive path. So it's not necessarily, so it's the definition of timeline that I was looking at them, because I'm looking at timeline from the geek world. Like I said, remember how we just watched Deadpool and there were all these timelines, but the timeline you're talking about is not defined in that manner. It's more of a, hey, this is a positive direction for the planet, right?
Well, in this case, it's a positive direction. It could be a negative direction.
Right.
We were headed in a negative direction.
Yeah. And so we shifted and we're going to a more positive path. So maybe rather than timeline, it's direction or path, or you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Tomato to me. It makes sense. I don't think that the name matters.
Well, no, words matter, because every single nerd out there who has ever watched a Marvel movie or has ever seen,
but that's saying that Marvel is defining what a timeline is.
it is.
Okay.
Because that's pop
Who
culture.
are they to define it?
It's pop culture. And so every nerd who's seen a movie goes, oh, hey, look, that is the Spider-Man in this timeline, and this is the Spider-Man in this timeline, and that Spider-Man is in this Marvel universe in that timeline. So they have defined that through pop culture.
And I personally am not someone that doesn't know that that's not how it happens. I don't know. I really, truly don't know. I know on the other side, there's no time or space, that you can be in lots of places at once. So yeah, you could probably be living in a different world at the same time. Probably. I don't really dive into that. I work with spirit, and spirit just goes on for forever. And I mean, for all I know, Corey is on another planet someplace living his life, and his soul, because you have your spirit and your soul, his soul, which resides with everything that he's ever learned in all of his lifetimes, are still on the other side and communicating with me and letting me know I'm okay. And his spirit is still learning. So I like to think that that's how it works. From what I have learned from spirit, that's how it goes. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm in 10 other timelines, and I'm living this same life with Brad, and one of it's really shitty and the other one we're really rich. And no, it just crunches in my brain too much. I just no.
Right. That's why I was like, okay, the definition that you had of it makes way more sense to me. But when I hear timeline, that's where my mind goes, because I've watched all those movies. So when you're like, no, it's just a shifting of the direction we're going, or the positive feeling, that makes more sense to me. Because when I hear all those timelines, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Well,
we can prove, I mean, and NASA has proved that, the shift that's happening, they can record it. They can see what's happening.
Right.
As far as living in other timelines, who fucking knows?
There is evidence, though, that the Schumann resonance can cause an increase in dopamines and serotonins and positive mood, right?
Right. So, when it spikes, when it gets higher, then I think it vibrates at like between a 4 and a 7 megahertz. And we're, as humans, we're at an 8. I believe, or 7 or an 8. We're really low vibe. I think it's interesting because I remember the last 3 years, 4 years, everybody was saying, I'm waking up. Not the woke culture. I'm talking spiritually. People were starting to wake up, and they were starting to take charge of their lives and starting to see truth. And I think that it's really, really interesting. I had no idea it would be so many people that was experiencing the same thing as a lot of the people that I deal with, a lot of like my clients and things like that. There's a lot of people that shifted. There's some people that did not. And they're still in that fear base and that low vibration. And they weren't, I think they'll come along because they're probably young souls and they just don't. Most of us are old souls and have done this shit lots of times.
Explain that. Let's talk about young and old souls really quickly.
The only difference is that we've incarnated lots of times, and we've been able to bring those lessons from each lifetime forward, and we know things.
So when you refer to young and old souls, what you're referring to is a young soul would be someone who, this is my first time living in a human body.
Or my first couple of times,
Got it.
And they're usually people that have a really hard time socially or accepting things or learning, or that it's kind of like the square peg in a round hole kind of thing. Very different than an old soul that just doesn't belong, that doesn't feel like they belong here because they're surrounded by people that don't vibe the same as them. Because those are the healers. Those are the people that are there to shift into a higher vibration.
Right.
So very, very different.
And those are the people who have lived many, many, many lifetimes. But those could also be the people who have a lot of shit, right? Because they're bringing shit with them. So there's a lot more healing to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. The younger souls are the ones that are more afraid, more timid, aren't really sure about things. The older souls usually have driven the bus through hell a couple times. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I'm back to your comment about, there's still a lot of folks who are afraid. There really are. And I think there's a lot of information out there that maybe isn't accurate. And
You mean our news media has lied to us? What?
That's one place for sure. Well, you know me, I always like to check multiple sources. Like if something says, the sky is blue, I will go and check several sources to go, okay, yes, the sky is actually blue, rather than just going, well, the meme said that this person said this. I'll say, well, did they actually? And I think that would save a lot of stress for people, because right now a lot of people are stressed. They're like, oh my God, Trump is going to murder all of the homosexuals. You know what I mean? That's literally what people are thinking. They're like, he's going to have trains and gas chambers and he's going to just gas them all, which is absolutely absurd. But that's the kind of rhetoric that we're hearing.
And I feel really, really bad for people that believe something like that. But, it's so sad. But if Trump was going to do something like that, he would have done it the first 4 years he was in, and he didn't. Things were better than they had ever been for us, and they will be again. And I think that these people that are afraid right now will see that they were afraid for nothing, and they'll just take a big deep breath and be like, oh, okay, nobody's out to get me type of thing, but I think that where the key is getting in touch with your own spirituality, because spirit will never lie to you. If you're in touch with your own spirituality, your spirit team, and you know who they are, you can ask the questions and get real answers instead of seeing some stupid thing on social media or seeing it on the news or whatever, because I can't even tell you how many things that I've seen where the voices have been dubbed and like the lips aren't even working the same, but they're saying these things, or they'll take stuff out of context, oh, this person said this, when in actuality they were telling a story about that type of thing. So it's like things are so skewed, and there are people out there that want to cause chaos. Yeah. And I think that you have to use your inner knowing to kind of read through those things. Does this feel right to me? Do I want to spend my energy on this? Again, it's all about energy. And if you don't want to spend your energy on it, look up several sources. It doesn't have to just be CNN or, Fox News or whatever. Yeah. Look all over. There's lots of sources that you can draw from, lots of people that are trustworthy and that will just bring you information. It's not even a skewed view. It's just, here this is.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
and it's not even just about politics, right? And I hate even bringing politics into the show, but it's such a relevant topic right
Well,
now.
it can be religion as well.
Yeah.
I
we
mean-
just had our election though. So it's
Yeah.
literally right on everybody's mind. And so I think it's a really important time to talk about, hey, how do we feel calm? And I think you hit the nail on the head, right? You need to become in tune with your own spirituality. And even those folks who don't necessarily believe in a God or any type of religion, you don't need religion or God to have spirituality.
Well, and here's the thing about spirituality. We are all souls having a human experience. The end. When we die, that soul transfers to a different dimension. We don't die. Energy never, ever disappears. It just changes form. Just like the Schumann Resonance. It's not a form you can hear, but it's a form you would be able to feel if it was, it's a waveform.
Mm-hmm.
So it just changes form. It doesn't disappear. So we have to remember that that's who we are, all of us, no matter what color of skin we have, no matter what religion, no matter what our belief systems are or our fears are. We are souls having a human experience. And if we start to see souls and see that everyone is on a journey of learning, this is our school, maybe we can give some grace to people to be able to learn. Because, I personally would not want to be afraid, or be fooled into thinking that our country is not free.
Mm-hmm.
Go somewhere else in the world if you think this place isn't free. And go and see other places. We've been around the world. We've seen how poor people are. We saw a lady that was waiting for the government to bring her a thing of water or a refrigerator, waiting on her government for months to get a refrigerator. And she did goat cheese.
She did not have goat cheese.
She didn't have it because she didn't have a refrigerator. And she was waiting for water every day to be brought in by the government.
Yeah.
So literally, we have it so beautifully good. Do we have some political bullshit? Oh, yeah. Do we have some religious bullshit? Oh, yeah. But we also have choice. And that's the thing. We have freedom to choose and we have freedom to use our voices. And I think that that's something that we all need to be grateful for, especially on Veterans Day today, because there are many people that gave their life up for us to be able to do this, to be able to complain, to be able to be afraid, So I think it's so important for us to give gratitude for those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for us.
We should honor them every day. And I think, Nan, that's one of the keys that you hit on right there is we should honor those people who have sacrificed for us every day, not just on Memorial Day, and we shouldn't just honor our military on Veterans Day. We should honor those people all the time. And I think a lot of people have difficulty getting behind the military because they see those men and women as just a tool for the government rather than seeing them as men and women who joined an organization to do good because they wanted to be more.
No, literally, a veteran signs up in the military and signs a contract to give his life to this country.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. That isn't I'm just signing up to, learn to be a helicopter pilot. You are giving your life to your country. So that means at any time in space, you can be called out and you will gladly die for your country. That is a big fucking deal.
That is a big deal.
So,
and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
They think it's just this flippant whatever,
No, it's very serious. Even in the reserves, if you just have National Guard reserves or Air Force reserves, these are people that only do it a couple of days a month. Even they have signed the same contract to give their life for their country and if called upon. And I think that we need to realize these are the men and women that keep our country safe.
Yeah.
These are the men and women that if shit hits the fan in the world, they're the ones that go to keep peace. And I'm sorry, some of our neighbors would never do that. There are so many people, especially the really entitled younger generation right now.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get it. And I think the history is so important to look back on. And I don't care if it's Veterans Day or Memorial Day. We should be grateful to these people every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honor them. And speaking of, last night we had a hot date. Yesterday we had a hot date too. We have a canyon. It's a state park here. It's called Snow Canyon. And what some people have done is they put up this giant flag in the middle of the canyon. So you've got all these red cliffs and then this beautiful flag. And then last night we went to go stargazing of Snow Canyon, and they had a spotlight from a fire truck shot over there onto the flag, and it was stunning.
It was amazing.
It brought me to tears because I'm like, God, look at me. I'm so grateful for the country that we live in, and I'm so grateful that prayers were answered and that there's hope for us, and that so many people have stood up against darkness. I'm incredibly grateful for sacrifices of people. I sat there and counted the stripes and thought about them, and I counted the stars as we were looking. And I'm like, they should keep adding stars. It should get bigger. It was stunning, and it hit my heart really hard.
Yeah, it did.
Because that flag stands for freedom. And
they can't take that away.
Yeah, just like the song, right? But it does. It does. And we're so blessed to live in a free America, even though sometimes our taxes are ridiculous. But, we still at our very worst have it better than other places in this world.
You're 100% right. We really do. And it's something to be grateful for. And all those men and women in the military now, we're super grateful for them. And, all the ones who have, like you said, sacrificed everything, we're grateful for them as well every day, not just 2 days a year.
Yeah. And if you don't know our history, our country's history, there's many shows about it. Go look and see what your heart says about it. Because if you hate our country, go learn about it. There's nothing you could hate. You'll fall in love with the country. She's pretty special.
Well, we just turned our show that's about spirituality, religion, and your journey going from Mormon to medium into a political discussion. That's kind of cool.
No, we didn't. It wasn't political at all.
Happy Veterans Day. Obviously, when this show drops, it's going to be past Veterans Day, but we hope that everybody honored our veterans. And, if you saw one of those men walking through the store and he had a Vietnam veterans hat on, say thank you. Acknowledge that. That service means a lot, and they should be acknowledged for it. So be grateful.
You remember when we went to Pearl Harbor, and we went inside a submarine, and how cramped those quarters were?
Yeah.
How their beds were stacked on top of each other. Like literally you could touch the sides of the submarine just standing in the center. Well, you could, I couldn't, but
I have monkey arms.
It was so small, and here they are underwater, clear under the ocean, and that's their living conditions. Like, think about that for a minute. Like, I couldn't fathom. I'm too much of a wuss. I need a Marriott bed. I think we all take things for granted. So be grateful, and remember that gratitude, love, and abundance are all the same vibration. And
bring that into your life.
Yeah.
Welcome abundance, welcome all that you deserve, and have such a beautiful life.
Oh, and you know what? Today is 11/11.
Oh, hello. I love you.
No, I love you too. We always say that on 11/11, the time or whatever. But this is also a day of manifestation. So at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m. on 11/11, manifest the things that you want. And it's a huge energy push to be able to make that come into fruition. So, we're doing it 11/11.
Numerology. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're going to wrap things up today. We're so grateful for each of you.
We hope you have an awesome week. And remember to be grateful, see each other, and give each other a little bit of a break. Spread some love around. Please go and like our page, follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook pages, and spread the word about the podcast. And if you'd like to schedule a balance or a reading, there'll be links in the show notes, or you can find us on social media. And if you have any questions or any suggestions that you'd like us to talk about, please reach out to us. We love hearing from you.
info@themormontomediumpodcast.com. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you
on the other side of the veil.